All right, welcome into the Keep Prowling podcast. I'm your host, DJ Beal, a Bayhackle Sports production, which we all know is your home for, I'm just going to say, everything. Sports.
All sports, that's cool.
Sports.
Yeah, exactly.
All sports.
We're trying.
See, we making it up on the fly. But definitely excited. And Carolina Panthers fans, I absolutely just hope you are just as excited as we are. I'm your host, DJ Beal, and I'm with Bayhackle Sports Director Jeff Taylor. And I know it has been busy in your world.
Busy, yes. I mean, with the Panthers, you had the draft, you had rookie camp, but like you said, Bayhackle Sports, we're kind of doing it all. So kind of in the midst of race season here a little bit with NASCAR and all of our specials that way. But no, I'm excited to see how this is all going to pan out for the Panthers.
Yeah. And, of course, schedule release was last week. It was kind of cool to see the different videos and the different, styles of schedule releases that people put out.
The best one, I don't know if you saw, was the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans, you like that?
Where they went to the fans and they were just making up random names. They were showing them the logos. Somebody put the Chargers as Lightning McQueen. They put up the Jags and somebody asked, is that a real team?
Yep.
That one was kind of cool.
I can't remember.
One of them did The Office, kind of outtake
the
of The Office.
That was the Broncos.
Was that the Broncos?
And then the Seahawks did the babies.
Oh, yeah, right.
Kids.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
was cute.
And one had their kids do it. I forgot, was it Minnesota maybe?
Yeah.
That had their kids do it. But, yeah, I mean, it's so cool to see all these kind of creative departments and stuff running with all this.
Yeah, it's fun to see, and kind of the interesting ways that they incorporated just something as simple as Atlanta, New Orleans, Seattle, and making that into this
something
pretty much a production. It was really cool. But we're going to talk about the schedule, but I know you were actually at Bank of America Stadium and really just around the city, not only when Bryce Young got here, but also when he was announced as the number one pick. So my question to you is I always say the city's buzzing about it because since 2011 when Cam Newton was drafted, everybody was excited, and now not only we're in a whole new era. Right, we're in the social media era. Everybody's got opinions. Everybody's talking about Bryce Young's height, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So what I want to see how's the city thinking about this? Is the city excited from the people you've talked to?
Yeah, I mean, I think you go back to when Cam was drafted. Mm-hmm. I think when you go back to that, the city was alive, and we saw what Cam did, at least for the first couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
But, with Bryce being at the stadium when he was drafted and they made the announcement, the place just erupted. Mm-hmm. And, it was pouring down rain.
Yeah.
And they still had, a couple thousand fans sitting out there at Bank of America Stadium. Frank Reich was fired up.
Yeah.
And, people talk about Frank, and we'll talk about it or whatever, dealing with, tiny quarterbacks, call it whatever you want. But I think the city's alive. I think there's a lot of excitement to see. And think about it. We really haven't had a quarterback per se since Cam. So we've kind of gone through that carousel. So if we can stop the carousel and everybody get off their horses and let's stick with the quarterback, I think everybody's fired up.
I'd even venture to say, and I'm sure people listening, tuning in can agree with me, I think the Panthers have lacked direction over the past couple of years. I don't think they've known exactly how to get kind of over the hump a little bit, because the NFC South, you don't know. You don't know who's winning. Even from last year, literally the Panthers were 1-2 games away from actually hosting a playoff game. Yeah. And then they end up with the number one overall pick via trade, but still they ended up with the number one overall pick. So I think a sense of direction, I think, was nice to see from this front office, because everybody's kind of hey, what are the Panthers going to do?
Right.
And then, I've always said, I've went on record in saying, I think they gave up too much initially, right? When they wanted to get the number one pick, you gave up a top receiver, you gave up picks on picks, you swap picks. I was like, oh, they gave up too much. They're going to set themselves back. But then to see them get their quarterback of the future.
Right.
And then on top of that, the offseason with free agency that they had.
Right.
I think that completely changed my entire mind on what they did when they made all those trades. CMC, we're going back even last season. It was a yard sale.
When you think about direction, though, when you think about, the owner, Dave Tepper, and stuff like that, new owner, he'd been with the Steelers and stuff and had some history with the Steelers, but I think you're right. That whole kind of lack of direction, coaching, all of this kind of stuff, and you have to get some things kind of set. It's like there's a big dartboard with a bullseye, and they were throwing darts all over the place, just not at that bullseye.
Yep.
And so I think now with Bryce Young, you've got that bullseye. And you talk about, the NFC and giving up. Did they give up too much? I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
And the interesting part is, people get fired up about, these quarterbacks. You talk about Bryce Young, you talk about C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Heck, Will Levis was in there and talking about the top 5 or whatever. Tread lightly, because I'm going to go back to, I don't know how long ago it was, but there was Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
They went 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was abuzz.
Yep.
Everybody was fired up.
Neither one of them really worked.
Where are they now? So
backups.
And I'm gonna just go on your point a little bit more. Defense, I think there's direction. Defense, I think we're set. I think they brought in Frank Reich to get the direction for the offense.
Yep.
He's got some work.
Frustrated a lot of people too.
Well, and he's got some work to do. I mean, the D's there.
Absolutely.
The defense can be a top 5 defense easily.
Yeah.
They have all the weapons to do that. It really boils down now to, can the offense gel? Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that.
And that's the thing. Can you get all of these pieces, these new pieces? Because you got a lot of new pieces, right? There's no DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. There's a lot of turnover, right? Those guys are gone,
right?
Or Robbie Chosen, whatever he wants to say his name is now, right? Whatever it is, right? They, at the end of the day, the Panthers they're on a quest to find their offensive identity now. Because I think even with Steve Wilkes, they had their defensive identity. I kind of wish he could have stayed even to just continue to shore up the defense.
Sure.
Right? But I understand you need an offensive head coach, especially in this league. In this league,
let's
an
be real.
offensive league that guys are scoring 40 points, throwing 500 yards in games. You need an offensive head coach.
But at the end of the day, too, and you just made me think of it or whatever, I mean, go back and think about the Kansas City Chiefs for just a second. Tell me 2 of their offensive starters in terms of Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce.
Yeah. They have stars.
But who? After that. But what I'm saying is, I guess what I'm getting at is if you can get Bryce Young to that level, and you got a good, listen, I think Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, Hayden Hurst is good. He's a former first-round talent.
And so I think, but what I'm getting at is, as I think about it, whether you think of, Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, all of these teams, it's really, of course, Philadelphia has more talent now.
Yeah,
but what I'm getting at is, though, Kansas City, though, I
think Kansas City,
it's that one, you can build it, if you can build it all around Bryce Young and he's successful and you can get him some weapons, and I'll go on a little bit of a shift here for just a second, but you take somebody like Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 years ago, we had the Titans at 12-4 or whatever it was, with literally, it was him and Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
But people are hurt and stuff like that. It's that quarterback play. It's where we're at right now.
They always say it's a quarterback league, and that's why quarterbacks get paid the amount of money that they get paid at this point.
Right.
And I think to kind of piggyback on that, I think we look at Kansas City last year and we say, whoa, they didn't really have the talent. But then if you look at the previous years when they went to the Super Bowl the time before, they had a top receiver in the league in Tyreek Hill. So it really just – and also not only a really good Super Bowl winning head coach, but a really good offensive coordinator.
Yep.
So,
exactly.
a lot of it is the scheme and,
the system.
The system.
I agree.
And I think Frank Reich is a good guy to bring in to kind of create that new offensive look that they want. Because Bryce Young is a guy, and speaking of kind of the issues with Bryce Young, right? A lot of people are there's been videos out. Maybe they've been hitting, we know about the angles.
Right.
They've been hitting the angles, make him look a little bit shorter. That's kind of people's biggest criticism on Bryce Young. But I think at the same time, Bryce Young moves around way too much to even worry about his height. If Bryce Young was maybe a Drew Brees style quarterback, it might be a little more difficult. But he moves so much. He's going to find open windows. He's going to find different little avenues. And I don't think people should be worried about Bryce Young's height.
No, first of all, in his press conference the day he visited Carolina, the day after the draft, and he was chosen number 1, somebody asked him about his height. And his exact response was something to the fact of, it's all I've ever known.
Yeah.
I don't use it as, why people talk about it as a disadvantage, I use it as an advantage.
Right.
It's all I've ever known. Now, you brought up a good point where when I think about Frank Reich, though, the quarterbacks that he's had to coach have been stand in the pocket, deliver the ball. my kind of beef sometimes when you draft somebody, whether it was, Bryce Young, or you can go back to, Bryce, or, I go back to somebody like Vince Young back in the day or whatever. Russell Wilson cooks because they let Russell Wilson be Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So my question is, can Frank create a system where he's okay with Bryce being Bryce?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Get him out of the pocket. Make the throws. Don't let him stand in the middle of, 10 guys who are all 6'3", 300 pounds.
Right.
Let him get outside. Can Frank develop that and develop a game plan for him?
Yeah, and I think the other part of that coincides with that is, exactly right. You're gonna have to let Bryce Young be Bryce Young.
Exactly.
Don't be like, I think nowadays we're so afraid. I feel like coaches are so afraid to let guys be guys. You don't have, like, the 6'5" stand in the pocket guy. It's not over. There's guys like that, right?
Right.
And Herbert is a immensely talented quarterback, right? Joe Burrow is an immensely talented quarterback, but so is Lamar Jackson.
Oh, right. Exactly.
So is, I feel like so will Anthony Richardson be, right? So will these other guys. Like, the ability to move Russell Wilson and these guys, right? Like, we know that the league it's always evolving. It's always changing. And I think it creates some exciting matchups.
And we're at that point too, where that is what the quarterback play is now.
Yeah.
The quarterback play is let him do something.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not there,
it's magic.
Let him
magic. Like, it's crazy. It's like it is kind of like a magician show.
Right. No, right? There's things when, and I don't like him. But Patrick Mahomes does things, and I'm like, where does that even come from?
Yeah.
How are you throwing that ball, and how are you moving around, and how are you not, so it's at that point where, yes, the Josh Allen, like you said, the Justin Herbert, these guys, the Russell Wilsons, they get out and make some magic. So can Frank Reich
that's
build the system and let him do that?
That's the question, and of course you can always write into Backle Sports and answer that question.
Right, let us know.
Yeah, exactly. Can Frank Reich be the guy to kind of make Bryce Young be the guy that Panthers fans have just been clamoring for years and years? But of course, we were talking about the schedule release, and we talked about how some of the cool little ways that they release the schedule. We're not going to be as cool, but we're not
going to dance or sing.
We're not going to dance or sing. Maybe after the show.
All right.
That'll be an outtakes. But I will say this. I'm kind of curious to see what you think of the schedule in terms of, like, what's one of your favorite games? Also for you all tuning in as well. What's a favorite game, favorite 2-3 games that you're like, I got to see this one. I got to tune in this one. I got to turn on the TV and be there for this one. But for just in case you guys don't know, week 1 is against Atlanta. Week 2, New Orleans Saints. Week 3, Seattle Seahawks. Week 4 is Minnesota. Week 5, Detroit Lions. Week 6 would be Miami. Then you get a bye week, get you a little bit of rest, which I think actually turns into like a 10-day type situation. Right. Week 8, you got Houston. Week 9, Indianapolis. Week 10, Chicago. Week 11, Dallas. Tough matchup there. Week 12, Tennessee. Week 13, Tampa Bay. Getting kind of into those division games because, this division, you never really know. And, of course, New Orleans in Week 14. Week 15 is Atlanta. So back-to-back division games. That's always tough to, kind of prepare for and go into. Week 16, Green Bay Packers, new look Green Bay Packers. Week 17, Jacksonville Jaguars, young up-and-coming team. You're going to get to see 2 young quarterbacks go at it. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then Week 18, of course, you ended out with Tampa Bay and kind of a TBD game because the division, we don't know what's going to happen, who's who.
Well, to me, I think they did them kind of dirty for the first 6 weeks. You got 4 on the road.
Yeah.
You got 4 on the road. Here's my question, though, and when I think about the games, does Bryce start?
I think
is he going to be your starting quarterback week 1?
Yeah, I think, and we're in this era of like instant gratification too. So I think fans are going to be like, he has to start week 1.
Let him play,
right? Let him play, let him learn, trial by fire. I personally think he should, if he's ready.
Well, I mean,
course, like that's why you brought in Andy Dalton to mentor him a little bit too.
Well, I'm a big believer in, everybody's like, well, they can sit and learn for a year behind whatever, blah, blah, blah. Listen, you can either ball or you can't.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you can either play in the NFL or you cannot.
Mm-hmm.
End of story. And I know coaching goes a big way into it or whatever, but if they drafted him number one, the city's fired up. If you put Andy Dalton out there,
number one overall pick is a whole nother beast.
Right. It's a whole different ballgame.
If you're late first round, second round, later on, like Russell Wilson, he could sit because he was a late pick.
Right.
You can afford
Tom Brady sat.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's a 6th round pick. So you expect him to take some time to develop. Whereas Bryce Young, you drafted him number one overall. You traded a lot to get him, and you expect excellence from day one.
And the NFL wants him there.
Yep.
The NFL wants him on. They want him on the field.
I think that's why, even looking at some of these games, I think that's why even when they just kind of just cherry pick teams and was like, hey, Houston, Indianapolis, they knew what they were doing because they knew Indy was going to take a good quarterback, and you get that rookie quarterback matchup. Right. They knew that Houston was going to take probably more than likely take a quarterback and not only do that and then get another pick back to back,
which is crazy.
They knew it was coming.
So if I look at it, to me, Atlanta's. I think they're horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I know Arthur Smith is trying there. I just don't, who's quarterbacking? I don't even know who's quarterbacking.
Desmond Ridder, I think.
Yeah, but
he hasn't. We haven't seen. We don't know what he can do.
Yeah, I mean,
we have no idea. We're more unsure about him than we are about the quarterbacks that were taken in the first round.
No. Well, I mean, so I think the game that first stands out is going. Okay, your first home game is a Monday night against New Orleans.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how's that? I mean, if they go into Atlanta and win Week 1.
Mm-hmm.
This place will be crazy on that game. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I mean, listen, you're talking, New Orleans now has Derek Carr is a quarterback. I still don't think he has any weapons but that's just me.
Yeah. It depends on if Michael Thomas decides to show up.
Right, if he's healthy. Yeah. Right, exactly. So, I mean,
Chris Olave is good.
Yeah, I'll give you. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and Derek, I don't know what to think about Derek Carr, but I think to me, as I looked at it early on, that's the first game that came to mind.
Yeah,
that's kind of your must-see TV. But then if you look, I mean, at Seattle, against Minnesota, at Detroit, and at Miami,
that's a gauntlet right there.
Listen, Detroit,
they're going to be tough for
Detroit. Could easily win the NFC North.
Yeah,
I mean, they could win the NFC North. Watching the way Jared Goff played at the end of last year. Mm-hmm. The man can throw a football, and if he's coached right and stuff like that, and people jump ship on him too quick. I think.
Yeah,
but
I think that happens way too. Holding a discussion for another time.
Right,
that happens way too much.
But to me, New Orleans, obviously that one. The next, like I said, the next 4 is a gauntlet. But then I mean, I think obviously you got to think about week 8, which is actually their 7th game, right? Because they got to bye.
Yeah,
but Houston comes to town.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the one.
One and 2. I mean, 1 and 2. I mean,
that's the one. And the reason that I say that's the one is, you get that 1 versus 2 matchup. Right. But at the same time,
because I can't see Houston going with Davis Mills.
Yeah, that's true.
Why would they? I can't.
And C.J. Stroud's got too much of a chip on his shoulder to get beat out by Davis Mills.
Right.
I mean, you could tell he was hurt by not being the number 1 overall pick.
Right.
He was hurt. But I think coming off of the bye week on top of that, for Carolina, it's advantageous because you're coming off of a bye week. But at the same time, you're facing Houston. You got a good defense. You're facing a rookie quarterback. It's almost like a rookie showcase,
right?
And to see where some of these other guys that you picked too, some of these how is Thielen fitting into the mold, right? How is Chark fitting into the mold?
Right.
How is Jonathan Mingo fitting into the mold? And how is Frank Reich coaching these guys up to
mesh that offense?
Yeah. I think that game between that and Indianapolis, I think those are the 2 I'm looking most forward to because I'm excited to see what Anthony Richardson's going to do. I'm excited to see what C.J. Stroud's going to do.
And my question is Anthony Richardson going to start?
That's true too. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because I don't think they have to start him right away. But I think.
But here's my question:
Indy fans are like,
but my question, and I should know this. I should have done some research. Who's Indy's quarterback? Is it Anthony Richardson? I mean,
backup. Well, not necessarily backup, but on the depth chart, that's. I don't remember
Matt
Ryan's.
No, he's gone.
He's in television.
So
I mean,
I guess you got.
Or bust. That's it. I know they got I think it's Sam Ehlinger. They drafted him last year.
That's
but
right.
I don't see him starting over Anthony Richardson. I don't see it.
So yeah, those 2 weeks. Yeah. You're talking, the 3 top quarterbacks that were taken.
Yeah.
Back to back.
And it's going to be like, it's going to be one of those times where you're going to be like, all right, let me put all my screens up so I can see what's going on.
And, you get, well, and then how Houston and Indy are going to be, who knows? Chicago, then you get, you go to Chicago.
Yeah.
Then you got Justin Fields in the mix.
You go to Chicago, DJ Moore, he's going to be looking
Well, he's going to want to ball out, right.
But at the same time, the Panthers are going to be like, we won this trade.
Right.
They're going to want to feel like we won this trade too. So it's going to be a lot of respect, but a lot of competitive nature going on in that game.
But, other than, and in the second half, the back half of the schedule, Dallas, it depends on if Dallas is Dallas or Dallas is like, I'm getting, you don't know. You just don't know,
Dallas against this defense, a guy in Dak Prescott who turns the ball over more than he should.
Right.
That's
and
awesome.
Ezekiel Elliott's done, might as well be done.
Yeah.
That's just, but then, I go back and, I think, but after that, now I will say this, and please forgive me out there in Panthers fan land. I'm a Titans fan. I've been a Tennessee fan since I was the Houston Oilers.
What you think about Will Levis?
Well, here's my question. If Will Levis is playing by that week, then you got you literally would have had, 4 quarterbacks that were all talked about in 3 or 4 weeks. Will Levis, cocky, arrogant, but that is the situation though where I think he could learn from Ryan Tannehill and sit. But if the Titans start out 0-5 or something, I think they're gonna, they make the switch quick. So Will reminds me of Josh Allen a little bit.
Yeah,
he's got a gun. He can get out of the pocket. It's just that raw talent.
Just needs a little bit of development. Probably needs the right coach with the right weapons around him.
Right, and right now they have no weapons around him. So
other
than Derrick Henry, but how good is Derrick?
And
Derrick on the decline.
Is Derrick even going to be kind of in it because rumoring that he might get traded and stuff like that?
Deadline.
If you don't believe in me, why should I show up for you? So
it's going to be interesting. So but really the second half, other than Dallas, whoever shows up, at Jackson.
Depends on the division, I think. I think with all these division games, especially back to back to back, if the Panthers can get the edge on the division, I think it's going to completely change the way this season could turn out. Because it really depends.
2.
You
could literally go. This division's up for the taking.
It is.
It really. Can I see them beating Atlanta? Yes. Can I see them beating New Orleans? Yes. Can I see them beating Tampa Bay? Yes.
If they get clicking, they can beat Jacksonville.
Well,
Jacksonville's
of course.
good.
No, sure.
And they're probably
Green Bay doesn't scare me now. We'll find out how good Jordan Love is. Finally. But here's another thing too. And I've been watching videos left and right about predictions and season predictions, stuff like that. While the NFL is the daddy of all sports and people live and breathe the NFL in the fall, college football too and high school football, I get it. But you know what I'm getting at. The NFL is the NFL.
Yeah.
Or whatever. There are not many good teams.
You think so? I think the opposite.
I just don't think they're like. At the end of the day, NFC.
Mm-hmm.
NFC. You got Philly.
Yep.
You got Dallas. Depending on what Dak is Jekyll and Hyde. Dak could go out and throw for 500 yards. Next game he has 5 interceptions. But in the NFC South,
I think there's divisions that may not be very good, but I think the NFC could be top heavy, right? I think Seattle, the jury's out on Seattle because we don't know. We saw Geno Smith.
If Geno Smith balls out, if Geno Smith balls out, they're going to be in it.
Yeah.
And Detroit, I think Detroit is up and coming.
Yeah, Minnesota's still going to be good.
Oh God.
I know we like to hate on Kirk Cousins.
I'm not buying it.
Chain Kirk Cousins, but chain gang Kirk Cousins. I know we like to hate on Kirk Cousins, but that team is also very talented.
But but at the end of the day, but even if you look over the AFC, everybody talks about how great the AFC is, but you got Kansas City, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow and the Bengals, I get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sold on the Bills.
I'm not either.
I'm
not sold on
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen not turning the ball over in big moments.
Right, in big moments. And so at the end of the day, like I just keep going, like the AFC South is
young.
Young, right? I mean, your
term.
4 starting quarterbacks could be Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, and who am I missing? And Trevor Lawrence could be the elder statesman of that.
And you never know with the Jacksonville.
And you never know with Jacksonville. But, I mean, the AFC North, I mean, is Lamar going to ball out this year? Because he better.
If he's healthy.
He better.
If he's healthy, I'll tell you they're going to the AFC Championship game, at least.
Wow.
If he stays healthy, they're going.
I'll tell you.
I'm a homer. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I'm a homer. But I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
Well, here's the deal. He better.
I agree with that.
I do what I'm getting at. I mean, at the end of the day, and here's where and I argue with people all the time about this and just tread light. Okay. I'm going to get some people fired up, but that's okay.
It might just be me.
No. To me, Cam Newton is not even in the top 5 greatest Panthers of all time.
Wow. Really?
No. Not at all. Not even close.
Really?
Yeah.
I would put Cam Newton on a Mount Rushmore of Panthers. Nope. That's a whole other episode.
I know. We can do that later. But what I'm getting at is this. At the end of the day, end of the day, stay with me. Mm-hmm. For me, I would put Jake Delhomme above Cam Newton.
Wow.
Now, did Jake Delhomme ever win an MVP? No. Did he have a better playoff record? Yes.
Okay.
They both went to a Super Bowl.
Okay.
They were a field goal away from beating the New England Patriots.
That's true. I think it changes if they win that game, too.
And then, you look at the touchdown interception ratios throughout the year. I'm talking pass. Listen, Cam Newton was an athlete. I get it. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, like Lamar Jackson.
He's a dog.
Prove it.
He's a dog. He's proven it though.
No, but at the end of the day,
he's done more with less. That's what I would say about Lamar Jackson.
But
because
he has the same if he gets to the AFC Championship game, my thoughts on him would change a little bit. Mm-hmm. Get to the AFC Championship game, get to the big game, which they can do. But with Lamar, it's just he did finally win a playoff game. I think he's won 2 now, or whatever. Right? I think it's 2.
I think it's true.
Okay, yay!
I think, but
and the MVP stuff I get.
Yeah,
MVP stuff I get it. I understand it, but do you know what I'm getting at? Though at the end of the day,
I think Lamar Jackson is a product of his own success. He was successful really early in his career.
Yes,
and
everybody put all the pressure on him.
Everybody doubted him from day one. So anytime they can doubt Lamar Jackson, they're going to do it.
Right.
So I think Lamar Jackson has done more with less. Right.
I could see that. I could see that.
Name a receiver he's had. If you want to name 36-year-old Deshaun Jackson, feel free. Right, but he was 36 years old.
No, didn't he? I don't. Yeah,
and that's the thing. So what
was guys? Hollywood somebody?
Yeah, Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown.
And he had a 1,000-yard season. They traded him.
He did have Hayden Hurst, but that was
But he wasn't. He couldn't beat out Mark Andrews.
That's true. No, you're right. No, I get it. No, I get it.
It's tough. So, but I think.
But you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Back to it. The AFC, I think. It's top heavy. You don't know what Rodgers is going to do. You don't know what a lot of these guys are going to do. But there's so much potential, right? There's so much
potential's there. Yeah. I agree with you there. And it just becomes though, when I was looking at all these things and go back and watch a lot of them, there's 32 teams, and when I was watching all these predictions, they had 7 of them with winning records. Mm-hmm. Everybody else was 8 and 9, 7 and 10. 6 and 11.
It's kind of going to be a friendly fire because of the divisions too. So somebody's got to lose,
right? No, agreed. So back to the schedule. Yeah, I think if you get if you could somehow or another walk away from. Let me ask you this: then you look at the first 6 games. To me, if I look at the first 6 games, if I could get out of there 3-3, I'm happy.
Yeah, I would say so because there's a lot of games where you don't know what's going to happen. Right? You have no earthly idea because of the division. You don't know how good this division is going to be.
Right.
Once you figure that out, I think, yeah, Seattle's tough, Minnesota's tough, Miami's tough, depending on who it plays. Right? Like
Right. Detroit's tough.
Yeah, 3-3. I think you'd be happy with that, especially with a rookie QB.
Right.
With a lot of new pieces, installing a new system, all that. Like I think you'd be happy with 3-3 in that.
And then really, I mean, if you think about the when you go back to the end of November, beginning of December, where you got 3 games on the road at Tennessee, at Tampa Bay, at New Orleans.
Yeah,
that's 3 winnable games.
It's tough on the road,
but even then, like, I've been to many Tennessee games. I can promise you, there's sometimes more fans there from the other team than that. And like you said, you just don't know. But those 3, I mean, that's not a horrible road stretch. Yeah. Like some people have, like Kansas City has freaking I think the Bills and Seattle and somebody else. They have like 4 games in a row.
They have a Super Bowl winning schedule.
Right? Yeah, exactly, and deservedly so. So there we go.
But I think if you look at the schedule, I think the Panthers have a lot of potential to have a winning record this season. And not only that, win the division. I think they can, at worst, win the division.
Oh, absolutely.
I think at best they could have a winning record, host a playoff game, right, and really show that they're here for years to come.
Right, and I think the defense plays well, keeps them in ball games.
Yeah.
What the Panthers need to learn how to do is stop losing games in the last couple of minutes, or win games in the final couple of minutes. If they can just finish. Because I don't know how many games I watched last year where it was like 3 points, 1 point, 7 points, and it was all decided in the last, whatever long.
Yeah. And some of that I think has to do with the quarterback too. Can they get that game-winning drive? Can they finish that last drive? It's not all of them, of course. But can you finish the job?
And Sam Darnold said no. I mean, at the end of the day. So like I said. You look at it; it's a schedule that they can easily, I think, come away with a winning record, win the division. But like I said, I think, like you said, the first game at home against New Orleans on Monday night, and bringing Houston and Indy here, those 3 games.
Yeah, I think too. I think we both kind of said it. I think based off of the schedule, based off of the excitement of what the Panthers could be, I think. Definitely this year is going to be must watch. Like I think out of all the years we've seen in the past couple of years with the Panthers, I think now there's a little bit more of a buzz. There's a little bit more excitement. We want to see what Bryce Young's going to do. We want to see all of these things. And even with the schedule, I think they come out with a winning record. Way too early prediction. I think they come out with a winning record. I think they do.
I'll go 1, 2, 3.
I think they win the division.
4, 5.
Which is wild to think about.
6, 7, 8, 9.
I mean, the Saints, I think, are the only true competitor in this division. That's it.
I think they could go 10-7 easily.
10-7, I could see that.
And win the division.
I could see that. But, Jeff, I appreciate you for coming on.
No problem, man.
This is good. We should do this much more.
We're rolling, and it's game 1 now. We get into some camps here in the next couple of weeks.
How was that, by the way? Yeah, I know
rookie mini camp was it was good. They're just they throw those playbooks at them that are 500 pages long or on an iPad now or whatever. But I think just getting the rookies in, getting them acclimated, getting them excited to play. And then we hit training camp, and that'll be here before you blink an eye.
Oh yeah.
So the buzz is here. Yeah. They just need to and I think you got a quarterback who is. But I will say this: the one thing that did blow my mind, and we get into this if you want to, was like when he did his press conference. Mm-hmm. I'm like, just how small is this guy? And he sounded like a 12-year-old. But I mean, he's 21.
Hey,
so I
mean, they are kids coming into the league. As crazy as
I know,
it's crazy because I think sometimes, like when people are drafted, we're like, oh, they're older.
But I look at, I've got 3 boys, and 2 of them are one's 19, one's 22, one's 25, or whatever. And I'm like, this guy is a starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, and he's like the same age as my 2 young kids.
Yep.
But let him have fun.
Yeah,
and he will.
I think it will. I think it will be fun.
I
think at worst it's going to be a fun season just to see what happens. But definitely thank you guys for tuning in to the Keep Prowling podcast. Of course, I will be back with a variety of
all kinds
guests.
of people.
All kinds of people. Maybe one of you. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, the sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit.
But definitely hope you guys enjoyed. You can find us on all your major podcasting platforms, on YouTube as well if you'd like to watch. But definitely thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, this has been the Keep Prowling podcast. Jeff, I appreciate it.
You got it, man.
And we'll see you guys.